Greetings. Welcome to Barely Regal. Now, you should know that this is not my first attempt to make a YouTube channel. This is, in fact, at least my third attempt. As it happens, I've not had great luck circumnavigating the the algorithms of YouTube, for a number of reasons, which I'm sure are not difficult for you to imagine. But, in accordance with the title of this video, I want to begin by doing my best to briefly teach you how to do meditation. Now, as a practitioner of meditation, I have had a daily practice that is about 5 years old. During the course of that time, I've had a handful of mystical experiences, which I will describe to you at a later time. They are not important at all. They are especially not important to the beginner. And certainly they do not qualify as anything remotely near to evidence of the divine or of the invisible world. Not for anyone other than myself. However, if you were to make a regular practice of meditation, then you would have a chance at having similar experiences, in which case you may be able to accept my testimony as a data point. I do not ask anything more than that you accept what is obvious. And as you do this practice, you will find, certainly, that you become calmer, that you become better able to focus on your career, your family, whatever it is that you believe you must be focusing on. My producer is talking. She hasn't got anything good to say. Also, you will find that you are less prone to a number of diseases and ailments which can be instantiated through psychological and nervous conditions. You will become healthier. You will become more focused, in short. And that's all I can promise you. However, I would suggest that you can become directly aware of and establish a connection to something that we may call divine. Alright, so, and my advice is twofold. Number one, it is you must accept that your meditation practice should be a discipline. This is rule number one. You should understand and fully accept that your meditation practice would be similar to taking up a fitness routine, in that you must do it regularly. Ideally, you should do it every day. I think you could get away with doing it once every other day, or maybe 3 times a week. Second, you should understand that and this is a very difficult thing to accept. You should understand that you are not your thoughts. So as you go about your day, you have persistent, recurring, automatic thoughts. And when you meditate, those automatic thoughts will not cease. They will not stop. Now, you could try very hard to squeeze down on them in a way. I have tried this and failed for years, and so has everyone else who has attempted to stop automatic thoughts from coming. What you need to understand is that those automatic thoughts are not you. They do not come from the thing that is you. They are more like your heartbeat. They're more like your bowels moving, all right? You're going to hear, it's just like in day-to-day life, you hear your tummy groan, you pass gas, suddenly, I have to go number 2 now. I can't stop it from happening. Am I doing the number 2ing? No. Am I doing the pooping? No. It's your guts. Well, they seem to have a mind of their own, don't they? Are you and the mind that makes you go poop the same? Are you identical to the mind that makes you go poop when you don't want to? Maybe you're doing work. Maybe you're on a date. Maybe, maybe you're putting on a wetsuit so that you can go on a scuba dive. You do not want to go number 2 at time X, and yet your gut says it's happening. Well, are you identical to the mind that makes you go poop when you don't want to? No, of course not. Do you have a connection to that mind? Yeah, you do. But are you identical to that mind? No. In the same way, when you have a thought that you did not initiate and you don't want, that is the same as the beating of your heart, as the movement of your bowels. So those thoughts that you have that won't stop, that bother you, no matter how much they bother you, they are not you. When you hear those thoughts, those automatic thoughts, that is the animal mind of your body attempting to force you to be prepared for a situation which you have convinced it is dangerous. So, well, how did you do that? It could be an interaction with your spouse. It could be something you said or didn't say to your mother. It usually involves words, and that's important. Because all of this kind of activity is channeled through the left side of the brain, which is the language side of the brain. All right? So all of these sorts of thoughts are going to come in the forms of conversations you've had with someone. And you are going to replay those conversations at any time your brain and your body decides that it's time to replay them. They are not you. So if you have an automatic thought, if you sit down to do meditation, and you have an automatic thought, you do not have to shut the volume down on that thought. You do not have to stop that thought from happening. It is automatic. Your brain is an organ. It is not what you are. This is the number one thing you have to understand. You are not your brain. Your brain is an organ. It's a computer. And it does things that are designed to keep you alive in the world within which it exists, the physical animal world. Alright, I'm already breaking my promise, aren't I? So, meditation rule number 1. You have to make it a practice. You have to make it a regular discipline. Rule number 2, you must understand that your automatic thoughts are not your thoughts. They are not you. They are an activity of the body. The brain is an organ. You are not your brain. All right? And I realize that's hard to accept for a lot of people. I understand that. I have been a materialist. I have been a strident materialist. And I understand very much why a person would believe that he or she is his or her brain. But you must come to understand that believing that you are your brain is like believing that you are your heart. It is like believing that you are your guts. Your heart pumps whether you like it or not in order to push blood around your body. Your guts pump to turn your food into shit and to push that shit out of your body. If you believe you are your brain, then it makes equal sense to say that you believe you are your gut. And it makes equal sense to believe that you are your heart. Do you believe that you are your gut? And do you believe that you are your heart? I doubt it. If you do believe those things, then I don't see how this conversation can progress. You are not your gut. You are not your heart. And you are not your brain. You are something other than those things. Now, when you sit down to meditate, and sitting is best, my recommendation, particularly for beginners, is to do this. Imagine yourself sitting in the middle of a field of grass. Sitting in any placid, naturalistic space. My preference is a field of grass on the side of a gentle hill. And there is a more or less clear blue sky there before you and about you. And what you see coming from your left, for a reason from the left, is a little grayish cloud. This little grayish cloud is coming from beyond the horizon, and it's going to cross the sky in front of your eyes. This is equal to an automatic thought. It's going to happen whether you want it to happen or not. It's going to cross your mind, and your mind shall be represented by the great broad circle of blue sky that surrounds you, which is what you are no matter what you do, no matter what you think, no matter what you believe. The great circular dome of blue sky is more like your mind than anything anyone has ever described to you, or explained to you, or attempted to convince you of. So when that little gray cloud crosses your mind, you should watch it. Do not be the thought, and do not follow the thought. The thought will attempt to get a hold of you. It will, much like a commercial on television, it will attempt to get your attention. It will attempt to make itself personal to you. This is where you must say no. No is the lost word of power. And we'll talk about that at another time. No is the lost word of power. And you should not say anything to that cloud, to that thought, to that feeling that is crossing your mental scape. You should simply watch it. Watch it and let it go. Do not grab it. Do not let it grab you. Simply watch it. And when you feel yourself reaching out to it, you should say no, not to the cloud, not to the thought. but to your impulse to reach out to it. Because it wants to take you with it out of your sovereignty. See, this place that we've imagined on that grassy hillside, that is your place in creation. That is where you belong, and the purpose of the thought is to drag you out of it. Because the thought is interested in the well-being of the body. And as such, it's not a being of a kind that's worth talking to. Have you ever encountered a very stupid person who wanted to argue with you about things? About things that they didn't understand? They disliked something you said on social media, and so they wanted to argue and argue and argue, not understanding your purpose, not understanding your point, not understanding the reasons and the ways that you came to believe the thing that you said. Are you going to engage with that person? No, of course not. You would be a fool to do so, and you would be a fool to engage with that cloud because your body is an animal, and that cloud is a product of your biological processes. That's what you must understand. So, rule number 1 to meditation is make it a discipline. Make it a discipline. There are ways to make it easy, and meditation is like exercise. As far as rule number 1 goes, it's like exercise. If you don't do it regularly, it's no good. It's like good diet. It's like taking on a good diet. If you don't do it regularly, health will not come. If you don't exercise regularly, fitness will not come. If you don't meditate regularly, mental, spiritual wellness will not come. Most importantly, a connection to the divine will not come. So you must do it regularly. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, know that you are not your mind. You are not your brain. When you have thoughts that you did not initiate, that is not you. So just because you hear an automatic thought during meditation does not mean you have failed. This should give you much encouragement. This should give you much encouragement because the average beginner will begin and then have regular persistent thoughts and say, I cannot do this. I cannot stop my persistent thoughts. Listen, my darlings. Hear me on this and understand this very well. You will never stop your automatic thoughts any more than you can stop your heart or your bowels. You will never stop your automatic thoughts. The important thing is that you do not attach yourself to them. What is yourself? Well, that is a question for another time. And so I welcome you to my new channel, and I hope you find this useful. And please, comment below, and give me a like if you have a heart.